I just came across the craziest thing while moving. We're packing up the house right now. And so I'm going through the closet in my office. And I went on a solo backpacking trip right after I graduated college in 2016, so about 8 years ago. And on that trip, I took a journal with me to really document what was going on. And I really fell in love with journaling. I fell in love with writing for the very first time. And when I came home from that trip, I was jobless. I was houseless. I slept on my homie's couch for 2 months. And I would surf in the morning, and I felt like I was really like living the life, like no job. I was waiting to start my career. I was surfing in the morning, but then I'd come home and all my friends were still at work. And so I had all this time on my hands, and I was like, just being the intentional person I felt like I need to really fill that time with something that was meaningful. And so I knew I had that journal from Europe, and I thought, well, what if I copied that to a Google Doc and kind of turned it into a book of some sort? And I didn't really have any expectations in the beginning. I just thought, we'll start there and see what happens. So I copy the journal to the Google Doc, and then I start to kind of piece together like the story arc of the journal entries that I felt like were meaningful for my trip. And then I was like, well, how do I make this really valuable for other people? And so I started to write like present day reflections, like me reflecting on those journal entries about what I was going through and really like extract the lesson that was kind of being presented at the time. And then I did that for, a long time. I honestly forget how long it took me to finish that process, but eventually I had a book, and I put this book out. It's called To Whom It May Concern, and I just found the copies for the first time in probably 6 years. And I have taken this down from the internet. You can't buy it anymore. But for the first time, I saw the copy and like kind of wipe off the dust on it. And for so long, I thought this book was worthless, to be honest. I thought that it wasn't even a book because it was only like 117 pages. And so when people would ask me, like, oh, how many books did you write or have you wrote? I would never include this in the number of books I've written. But today, when I took it out of the box, I saw it like in a different light. I saw it through a different perspective than I've never seen it before. And in the past, I think I started to believe it was worthless because it didn't sell a ton of copies. I did maybe 100 copies, which that's still a lot of people. 100 people in a room, that's a lot of people. But, I set these really big expectations for myself that it was going to be this like bestseller and sell 1 million copies and everyone was going to know about it. And when it didn't reach those heights, I made myself believe that it was worthless. But today when I looked at it for the first time in probably 6 years, and I flipped through the pages and just saw all these journal entries from 2016 of all the things I was going through when I traveled and the lessons that I was learning and the fact that I made something like this, I realized that it's not about the sales. It's not about it being a bestseller. It's not about 1 million people knowing about it around the world. I realized that the fact that it's important to me and that it exists makes it worth something. And I honestly feel emotional because I've never seen it like that. And even now, like my book, You Deserve the Shit, would not exist without this book. Even though you can't buy this book online anymore, the reason I wrote this book is because I wrote this one, and this one is really a reflection of all the lessons I learned on my trip. And so You Deserve the Shit wouldn't exist without To Whom It May Concern. And I think it's important for me to remember that, like, even if this one didn't amount to maybe what I thought it was going to amount to, it did amount to something else that I didn't think it was going to amount to. I didn't know this was going to lead to a whole writing career, a whole speaking career, a whole thing that I do now that I love. And I think it's so important to remember that just because things in life maybe feel small to you, doesn't mean they're worthless. It doesn't mean they're pointless. It doesn't mean they're a wasted effort or a waste of time. I think whether you're creating something or whether you're just doing a small act of kindness or whether you're just, investing in a small way in yourself or a relationship, if it's important to you, it's worth something. It's meaningful. It doesn't have to be this whole thing that has to be known by everyone in the world and sell 1 million copies or touch 1 million lives. I think if it touches your life, that's what matters. And that's how I felt today when I looked at this for the first time. And I just hope that this helps you remember that If it's important to you, if something in your life is important to you, regardless of anything else, if it's important to you, it is truly worth something and it's meaningful. Officially moving out of Seattle, and it's crazy to think that we've been here for 4 years already. It was such a fast 4 years. It really feels like we got here yesterday, and just reflecting this past week with Nicole on just like how much stuff happened in our lives during this chapter. You know, we built our businesses, we got engaged, we got married, we built community, I started this YouTube channel. And it's so amazing to think that by making one change, moving to Seattle, all that came from it, all the possibilities, all the opportunities, all the doors that opened. And so as I think about this move into this next chapter in Europe, I think about all the things that may come from it. And I'm currently in my empty office, which is just insane. This is like such a special space for me. I've done so much of my writing work here, so much of creating books and projects and tools for people, and it's definitely bittersweet to see this place empty. This is the last thing on my wall. This is the outline of my book, and it's finally time to take this thing down. I love having this up in my office because it has allowed me to feel inspired and reminded about the project every time I walk in here. I also have all my You Deserve This Shit books over here. We're bringing these down to California. This is my inventory for mainly TikTok Shop. You can get on Amazon, but this is my TikTok Shop stuff. But yeah, it's pretty surreal to think that we're gonna chase this dream. You know, I was talking to a friend the other day, and he said, yeah, what prompted the move to Europe? And I was like, well, we've always had this lifelong dream, and we've wanted to do it before we have kids, and so that time is now. And he said to me, wow, you really got the future planned. And to that I said, that's the only way to live it. And I think if there's anything you take from what we're doing right now, as we move to Europe, as I continue to write the book, is the importance of identifying what you want for yourself. Because a lot of times people understand or figure out what they want for themselves too late in life, and then they regret not doing those things, or they regret not being able to have that time back. And so if there's something you take from this video right now, I would just encourage you to start to think for yourself, start to live on your own terms, and ask the question, what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? How do I want to live? What do I want to do? Who do I want to surround myself with? If we start to ask those questions, then we can really tap into a life and a path and a journey that feels very resonant to specifically us, and it feels authentic. And that is the only reason I've been able to do what I've done and had the idea of moving to Europe and writing this book, is because I asked myself, what do I want? What do I want out of life? This is my life, and it's an opportunity for me to create whatever I want with it. And I think that is something that we can't take for granted. And we honestly owe it to ourselves to understand what we want so we can live a life that is true to ourselves. And that would be my message, my last message in this office right here, is to start to ask those questions to understand what you want for yourself so you can go out and create it. You're gonna live such a more fulfilling life by doing that. You're gonna live such a less painful life by doing that, because you're gonna have so much fulfillment and happiness and joy coming from doing the things that you love and doing the things that you want for yourself, instead of your life being dictated by someone else. I think if we can dictate our own life, write our own narrative, and really design our own story, that is the gold. That's the gold mine. And I'm gonna leave it at that. That is the final message of this office, and I'm really excited to see how this book continues to evolve as we make this move to Europe. And I'm super pumped to take you along this whole journey and show you where I'm going to be writing, where I'll be riding around the world, where I'll be riding in Europe and Spain and Mallorca, the coffee shops, all those things. I've really been excited for this YouTube channel to really grow as I grow in this next chapter of my life in Europe, and I think it's gonna make it just like super exciting, super fun to do, super fun to document, super fun to share, and I just can't wait to show you what happens. So again, thanks so much for being here, and I will see you on the road. And the cars are packed to the absolute brim. I have to tie myself to the roof because there's no room for me to drive. So, but it's crazy to see the place so empty.
I know, it is. It just reminds me of when we first moved into here and we had no idea what was gonna happen here for us. And looking around, like I just went upstairs and saw it all open, and I feel like this space gave us so much, and we created so much here, and we did so much here, and now it's like, okay, next chapter.
Yeah, it's wild that 4 years have gone by.
So crazy.
It was such an amazing chapter, but it just happened so quickly. Not in the sense that we weren't present, but it just like...
Time just flies.
Time does fly, and I think you need to take advantage of the passing time, or else you're gonna look back one day and be like, dang it,
yeah,
I missed it. So it's really cool to think like what's gonna happen in this next chapter, considering what happened in these past 4 years for us. This is Penny's second big travel. Her third will be to Europe. She did really good on the way to Seattle from LA. We were nervous because she'd never been in a car that long, but she handled it.
She did pretty good. I'm gonna play her some healing frequencies. Okay. I'm gonna tell her all the good affirmations. I'm going to, we're just gonna have a nice little experience, the two of us.
Yeah.
So like a spa. That's that.
This is the end of this chapter.
Aww.
I'm so grateful to do it with you.
If only I could wait. If only I could wait, but before me is a ways out. Can I live inside this state?
What are you doing here? What is this? You're under arrest for eating a burrito. How are we all doing in here?
Got a burrito. I got a. Oh, now she's awake.
Oh, you got a cat? Let me zoom in on the cat.
Penny, say
In
hi.
there. Okay. What else you got? What's down there?
I got a cappuccino. I got an arrangement of snacks.
What's in?
I got a leaf.
You got a leaf? Yeah, look at all these leaves out here. Look at that red tree. That's the most beautiful tree I've seen in my entire life. Any other fun treats in there?
You know, there's a lot of things.
What about we just went to this sick, gluten-free, Brazilian-inspired bakery. Got Nicole and I a little cinnamon roll. And just got a burrito at this place here in Medford. Or no, we're in, where are we? Where are we? I'm losing my mind.
Oh, here are my healing frequencies.
We got Healing Frequencies playing in Nicole's car for Penny.
As soon as I turn on the healing frequencies, she like immediately calms down. So, hack.
She's a meditation kitty. And now we got about 5 hours and 30 minutes down to my parents' house in Sonoma County. And we don't really want to leave quite yet because this is our last time in the Pacific Northwest with this. Look at these colors. It's also very windy out here. And I'm in 100% cotton head to toe, so this is a really good outfit for the rain. But
We're immune.
you just kind of, when you live up here, rain doesn't really faze you anymore. In the 4 years of living in Seattle, I've never used an umbrella and I've never owned or worn a proper raincoat. So you just kind of become one with the water.
One with the water. One with the rain.
Nicole's leading the way. She's lead car. Here's the van. Look at these colors, dude. These are yeah, this is so. I don't want to leave. Should we just move here instead? I keep zooming in on this tree. This tree is so pretty. When you zoom in on your hair. Oh yeah, it does match your hair. All right. Should we hit it?
Let's hit it.
What's
Day 2.
Day 2, drive 2. One more leg tomorrow, which is the longest of them. Well, it'll be similar to yesterday's drive.
Last night
But-
was pretty long.
Last night it was supposed to be like 7 hours, but we got a late start and there was a lot of traffic, so it was like 8 hours, like including the stop. We didn't get into our Airbnb until after midnight. Went to sleep. Penny kept us up all night scratching her litter box because she thought it was a scratch pad.
She was so good.
But she was super comfortable, and every time we traveled with her, we realized how much of a travel kitty she is. So I think this trip is making us feel more confident about how she'll do on the trip to Europe and how she'll do in Europe. It took her like literally 30 minutes to get comfortable with this Airbnb, and then it was like, it was her place. Like we were there with her. She was owning us, so that's it. This is a beautiful place. I don't really want to leave, but we gotta go. I'm gonna miss the PNW.
Collecting leaves.
Well, our cars have enough leaves on them. We'll definitely take some with us. All right, say adios.
Adios.
Love you. See you soon.
Love you. See you.